I have spent the last 3 decades plus working for organizations like the American Red Cross, Habitat for Humanity, and many organizations as a director, supervisor, and manager. Thus today I'm pleased to share with you a new idea called the CUPID Factor. When I was 10 years old, I stood before the Roosevelt Memorial and Eleanor's statue was written the words that echoed through my lifetime. When you cease to make a contribution, you begin to die. When you cease to make a contribution, you begin to die. Over the next 3 decades, with her sage wisdom at heart, I have been inspired to become the active, contributing volunteer that I am today. I will give you an understanding of the core set of skills called the CUPID Factor, a set of skills comprised of C for compassion, U for understanding, P for patience, I for identification, and D for dedication. People who successfully mastering these skills are not only volunteering more effectively, but able to help others. To further explore my CUPID Factor, let's start with compassion. The core of the skill of compassion is learned by caring for other people like yourself. This is synonymous with the act of doing good. Volunteers exhibiting compassion are not concerned with physical rewards. Instead, they are motivated by touching the soul and the spirit. Understanding who you are serving and what support is needed is a skill that volunteers develop with experience. There are as many different people as there are people. Thus, volunteers need to understand that different people have different needs. When I'm running a Red Cross shelter, the first question I ask is, what are the things we need to support the community into the shelter? What food do they eat? Do they have service animals? Understanding not only the people you are serving, but other volunteers and partnering organizations working alongside is just as important. When operating in a shelter in a high school, you've got to understand that the high school needs to operate, and we need to work with them to serve the community with as little disruption to their operations as possible. Patience is another essential skill. Those you serve have something that has disrupted their lives, such as a home loss in a fire, flood, or other tragedy. Whatever the situation, these people are coming to you and they are not in the same mental states that they were just prior to the disaster. Listening here is a critical skill. In whatever organizations a volunteer works with, there'll be others involved as well, like nonprofits, charities, and privately owned businesses. Thus, many entities involved may have their own agendas, policies to follow that will make the volunteers' work much more challenging. When I worked in food banks, other organizations like restaurants and supermarkets and their representatives also need to participate. As volunteers, we need to exhibit patience to help them achieve their goals as well. Identifying a client's issue is sometimes very difficult. The best practice is relating to the client, and the volunteers express themselves identifying and empathizing with the client's situation. In this way, with understanding and patience, the volunteer will be able to create a more solid connection to the client and his individual needs. In closing, a successful volunteer has a strong sense of dedication. This quality is being of service and devoted to a task, cause, or purpose. This goes to the heart of the volunteer's mission of being of service. And as always, be a part of the act of helpful aid to another person by performing the greater good. It was my pleasure to share with you what inspired me to become a compassionate volunteer, which led me down the life of community service, my history, and the principles I used to develop my CUPID Factor. If you'd like to find out more about how you can create your own volunteer path, I encourage you to work with organizations like my business, the Preparedness Network, that can help you build a culture of volunteerism with you or your company. For me, it's not about the material things one accumulates, but more about what one has accomplished in the service to others. Thank you.